Oh, thank you, Juliet. Just so beautiful, and your voice is just so stunning. And what we know is all roads lead to home. And how perfect that is, knowing that. Well, now I've got one of my favorite things to do because I get to introduce our guest speaker. Now, we were blessed with her presence the day after Christmas, and she really was Spirit's gift to us for the holidays, because we had the opportunity not only to hear her message, but to bask in her energy of love and light and joy. Now, she was the senior minister at the Center for Spiritual Living in Hemet, and then she retired, much to their dismay, as she and her husband Charles relocated to the Valley area. And so we're going to hopefully have that opportunity to see her more frequently. But with that, let us welcome back one of our very favorite, Reverend Rhonda.
Thank you, Hazel. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So good morning.
Good morning.
How is everyone this morning? Tired? Oh, no. No. There's no such thing as tired. So it's funny because I'm listening to this absolutely amazing angelic voice this morning, Juliet, and she's got this beautiful song, and I'm supposed to talk about anger. What's wrong with that picture? I'm supposed to be talking about anger. Well, okay. We'll do that this morning. But so my talk title is Looking Anger in the Eye. You don't get away with it that easy. It's all about I. It's all about us. It's all about sometimes the anger, the frustration, all of that we don't want to face, that we don't want to get into, we stuff. Heaven forbid we should show any type of emotion at all, because then that would be letting go. That would be letting our guard down. That would be allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Now, I'm not saying that you should lay down and have a temper tantrum every time something doesn't go right. But what I'm asking you to do is really feel what's happening in yourself. Get in touch with your heart. And if you have to put your hand on your heart in order to really get in touch with that emotion, then do it. It's okay. You know, anger sometimes is dressed up as grief, embarrassment, frustration, fear, shame, hurt, and loneliness. I'm sure many of us in this room have experienced anger at somebody dying. Why? We always ask that question. Why did they have to die? And it's like we look at the heavens and we say, I want to know. Where's the answer? But in that anger and in that grief and in that loneliness and all that is bundled up, we see, or we will be given the answer. But what we really should be doing is, instead of reacting, is being able to just pull back and be in the moment and accept what is going on and saying, okay, what is mine to know from what I'm experiencing as an extreme emotion? And the first thing, of course, we want to do is we want to run away. We want to hide. We just want to pull the covers over our head. We don't want to have to experience it. Please make it go away. I don't want to do this. I can't do it. What do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. We can do things. We just choose not to sometimes. And what happens is, when we get that feeling of anger, it's almost like this inner growl. It's like, it's like this little motor going. Yeah, have you ever heard a cat purr? Okay. They have this like little, and And that's what happens with us with anger, is we tend to, we have that little roar, that little bit of anger that's poking at us, that's saying, notice me. Notice what's going on. And then what happens is when we notice, well, we say, well, I'm a victim. I'm being challenged by this. How unfair. I'm not supposed to be challenged by this. Life is supposed to be just fine. Everything's supposed to go on just perfectly. I'm not supposed to have to deal with this. How dare I deal with this? Did that come out of me? Me? Oh, hell yes. We have to have a way of releasing. Now, as I said, I'm not recommending we lay down and have a temper tantrum all the time, but what I am saying is we need to funnel it into something perhaps creative, something that is more constructive. How many of you, after you felt angry, feel exhausted? It takes so much energy to be angry, and yet so little to be positive. With kids, I have sometimes said in their ministry, let's turn a frown upside down and make a smile. A smile goes a mile. You know, let's do that. But again, instead of facing it head on, we want to run away. You know, there's this really amazing African parable that I want to share with you. And it has to do with lions. And what happens is you've got, of course, the male lion and the lioness. Now, of course, we all know who gets the looks in the animal kingdom. You look at the peacock. Who's got the beautiful feathers? Right? The male. Who's got the gorgeous mane? The male lion. And there's the lioness. So what happens is they live together, they work together to help feed the pride. And how they do this is, you know, okay, let's set the stage here. There's a savanna and there's a watering hole. Nice day, there's grass, a little bit of a breeze. And then what happens is somebody says, you know, I'm hungry. What's up? I want a snack. And the lioness looks at her male and says, okay, all right. So the male, of course, goes off and lays in the grass. I'll just wait. And the lioness goes into action. She goes into the tall grass. And she hides, along with many others. And they wait. And then, of course, as the gazelles and the antelope or whoever are on that desert plain, they come into the watering hole. And they're all having a nice drink. They're all settling in, having a good time, you know. Hey, what'd you do last week? You know, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, roar! There's this huge roar. And what do? They immediately pick up their heads and they run away. They panic. And the lionesses are going, well, it's about dinner time. And they run straight into the path of the lionesses and the older lions, which pounce. And there you go. There's dinner. So don't we do that a lot? Is that when we are startled by something that scares us into, I don't want to deal with that. We get angry and then we go, fine, I'm running away. I'm going away. You can't touch me. You can't hurt me. I'm not going to allow you to do that. But it still gets you because you're carrying it. So what happens is you are now given the choice. You can either face that anger or that situation head on, or you can leave it and wait till it shows up in something else in another way. Because it always will. You know that. It might not show up right here, right now, in this situation, but give it a few weeks, few months, few people. It'll come back. And then you're going to have to deal with it all over again. Do you really want that? No. We don't want to do the cyclical thing. It's a circle of life. It's not supposed to be a circle of crazy. We're supposed to have amazing, beautiful calmness. And so what happens is running away from the roar, as I said, we don't face it. When actually we should be running towards the roar. We should be running full on into it and saying, come and get me. I dare you. Make me grow. I dare you to make me grow. Yeah, let's see what it looks like. It's a journey. Things that happen in our lives and maybe, aren't so wonderful and pleasant, we're given so that we grow. We're not supposed to just stay stagnant and go, okay, this is great. I'm just going to hang out with the rest. Just do nothing. Oh, boring. How boring. No, the reason why we are given fires under our butts is to get us to move, especially off those rocks that we love to just bask in the sun on. No, we are meant to spiritually grow. It's no fun. Transformation, we tend to look at as fearful. I have to change. Yeah, you do. What's wrong with that? When we change, we find out more and more about ourselves all the time. And yes, we can be angry. We can be angry at shift and change because nothing stays the same. That's good. But we want it to stay the same. No, it has to stay the same. This is what I always want. This is what, no. It has to stay the same. No. The universe and God, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is of your understanding, is meant for you to be uncomfortable, for you to change. There's this wonderful acronym that I love to use about, roaring. And it's recognizing. It's called recognize, open up, appreciate, and release. That's what roaring is all about. So when we recognize our emotions, what are we feeling? What are we feeling? Is it really anger, or does something else lie beneath the surface? Fear or sadness? Ask yourself, what is really that motivation? What is really underneath it all? And don't try to dig a deeper hole with it. So the next one is opening up. Accept your feelings without judgment. Feeling a wave of anger, sadness, or fear does not make you a bad person. It does not make you weak. It makes you stronger. When we acknowledge what is going on through us, we know that we are at the center with God, working through us, as us. And all that can be right there is love. And you know what? It's there to catch us. So then we get into this appreciation. Whatever is rising in our hearts, what does it feel like? Is it that lump in your throat? What does it physically feel like in your body? Maybe I feel like I'm going to throw up. We often do. Think, this is anger or anxiety or sadness, or maybe it's all three. Rather than making it an affirmation of, I am angry, I am anxious, or I am sad. Is that a great affirmation? No, it's not. We have better things to affirm in our lives. We are whole, we are perfect, we're complete, and we are happy. Yes, we are. And yes, I sound like I'm demanding that of you, because there is no reason why we shouldn't be. But we have all these wonderful excuses for creating it not to be. And so, of course, the last letter R is release. Don't identify, cling to, or feed your emotional response. Let it pass through you like a weather system. This month, I know we've been discussing emotions, and we have been going through that weather system. We've been going through joy and happiness and anger and emotions are a weather system, and they're unpredictable. We don't know what situation we're going to be like in the next minute or two, or outside, or down the street. But what we do know in the science of mind is that we can keep this wonderful sense of peace and calm always at the center. We can, instead of reacting like in a knee-jerk reaction, we can look at the situation and go, okay, let's assess this. Let's look at this. Instead of going, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. Being a victim. Jumping into victim consciousness. Doesn't look good on you. So, what would it look like if you did? You said, okay, breathe. What's really operating here? What's really happening? What is it that wants to show up in my life? What is it that I really, really, really do want to see? You know, Ernest Holmes, our founder, he said this: the mind that is always confused and distraught is not at peace. The mind that is continuously upset and agitated by the little petty things of life is not at peace. It is at war with itself. It is only when the individual mind ceases combating itself that it will stop combating others. Fancy that. When we stop being at war with ourselves, we'll find peace. But there's so many things that we love to create for ourselves to be upset with. Why? I ask, why do we create those paths that we want to be unhappy when you can choose other? You can choose again. So, let me review with you a little bit about anger. So, when you run towards something, you're actually running towards your good. You're actually creating safety. Because what you're doing is you're tackling it full on and you're saying, this or something better. Run towards what scares you. It'll help. It'll create other avenues for you to navigate other things in your life. Look for the situations and circumstances that really do scare you. That giant leap of faith. In brief, when I was here the last time, I had taken a huge leap of faith to get married again and to move, to leave a congregation who I'd been with for 12 years. Who I dearly loved. But God was saying, this or something better. And so I took that leap and I said, okay, I'm scared to death. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? I'm here. And I love it. I love being an Arizonian. Things almost always seem worse in our head than they turn out to be. Are they not? Right. So by facing your fears, you find out what you can truly do and what's possible. You can do it. Yes. Because what happens is you find out, wow, that wasn't so bad. I really do have that within me to do it. I can stand up to this. I I can do it. I can roar as loud as I want to, and I can be heard. Not only I can hear in myself, but others will hear me too. So I'm going to ask you a question. I know, yes. Which current roar are you avoiding? What are you avoiding? That you just want to, like, meow. I just want to keep quiet. I don't want it to get any bigger than meow. Pathetic. You're bigger than that. Roar. And so, how might you test it to see if it really has teeth? How can you test it to see if it really has teeth? So what I'm asking you is to be the light, to be and bring the joy, and run towards what scares you. Run towards what scares you. And yes, you're going to be angry. Yes, you're going to have some ultimate pisiosity about it. But it's a good thing. But when we learn that we can be the I, not the I, because we do. We see with a different lens. So it's actually the EYE and the I. We see life differently when we have experienced anger about something that may not be going right in our life, and we can shift and we can change that. And we know that I don't do it alone. God is always in there with me, at the center of all. We know that to be true. And so I ask you all right here, right now, to join with me in the oneness. In that one energy, that love energy that encompasses all things. Yes, we deal with anger. Yes, we deal with uncomfortableness. Yes, we deal with so much in life that we feel that sometimes life is against us. When no, life is for us. Nothing is ever against us. And so we declare right now, we affirm right now in the love and the light that is God, that it is true joy. That is whatever shows up in frustration, in fear, we simply know it to be something else. We know it to be love. Because that's what it is. That's what God shows up as in our life. And all we have to do is ask, believe, and receive that loving that we know God to be. It is truly light. Because what happens is when we get into situations, we know that the light shines upon us and sees the situation out of the darkness. That's always the way. We always have a way. And we are given that. Always. So it's right here, right now that I know and affirm that if we, or I, us, have anything that we are facing at the moment and we want to stare it down, we do. We know it can't hurt us. We know that we are not victims. We know and understand it to be something that is creating growth, something for us to see not only about ourselves, but something else. Something that will create and already does create a higher good. I know this to be true. I claim this to be true. Yeah. And I release anything and everything to God. So grateful for the opportunities that we are given to have emotions, to have feelings. to feel alive, to be the soul in this beautiful body, to be alive in all that is. Thank you, God. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.